month, $240 a year. Copies of the three favorite books that I read this year, including Michael Dibson's great thriller in Sicily called Blood Rain. For $30 a month, copies of 3 CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted in a special program here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who are able to do so and pledge $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you can proudly wear one of these great hand-woven rayon chenille scarves like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. But the most important thing is this is the time of the year, the only time of the year where you can get a tax, not the only time, but the last time for 2013, you can get a tax deduction for giving to Free Speech TV and making that pledge and keeping us on the air with the kind of hard-hitting news and commentary that you've come to depend on. So please, again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669. Please do it today. Keep us going. We want to be there for you every day on Free Speech TV. Thank you.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realised that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the products suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
They did it. They approved the budget. 332 to 94 in the House yesterday, proving they can get something done in a bipartisan fashion. Unfortunately, they couldn't or didn't extend unemployment benefits. Merry Christmas. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Friday. Oh, my God. Friday, December 13th.
You almost forgot.
Let's go back to bed.
You almost forgot.
Friday, I did almost forget. I did. But I also almost forgot it was Friday the 13th. Scary day. But, you know, 13th, 14th, 15th, we don't care. Friday's our favorite day around the Bill Press Show. One more.
Yeah.
One more.
Well, you want another hallelujah? I'm sorry.
We always get three. We always get three.
But I
Come
thought
on.
we did something up because it was Friday the 13th. I'll give you one more. One more hallelujah. Sorry.
What do I have to do? Push the buttons myself around here?
I'm sorry. Very sorry.
Hey. Good morning. Good to see you. Happy Friday. And let's get it over with right away. Happy birthday to Peter Ogburn. Oh, here we go. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Let's see. Who's in the wings to sing happy birthday today?
God, okay. I'll do one for myself. I'll just do one for myself.
All right, okay.
Okay, here.
Happy birthday.
From George W.
I think
See?
W, yeah.
I'm okay
good.
with that.
Yeah, he was selling his paintings on Air Force One. Now
right.
he's
that would make a great birthday gift.
Right.
I would take one of those and hang it proudly.
Now he is selling his happy birthday greetings to you. Well, happy birthday, Peter.
Thank you very much.
Very, very good.
I'll never be this pretty again.
Hey, good to see you. Pardon me. Good to see you today, if I do have a voice. And thank you for joining us here. It is the Bill Press Show on a Friday, December 13th from our nation's capital. It was sort of a wild time around here this week. The Senate is in session. They've been doing all night sessions with Republicans unhappy about the filibuster rules. The House has actually been working for a change. They not doing necessarily the Lord's work. They passed a budget yesterday which screws the poor, screws those people who are on unemployment, whose unemployment is working out. They said, we'll help doctors and make sure that they get enough money for treating Medicaid patients, but we're not going to help the 1.3 million, I believe it is, people who will lose their unemployment benefits on the 28th of December. All of that is going on. And then the big party at the White House last night with all of our friends from the media. It was a great party. The president was in good form, and I did say hello for all of you and tell him he's got a lot of support out there among our listeners and our viewers, and that we have his back every morning, which he appreciates. So with all of that, we bring you the news of the day and wait to hear from you. Look forward to hearing from you. Your comments at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. You can join us on Twitter, and we invite your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. The aforesaid Peter Ogburn celebrating his, I think it was 59th birthday today.
Yes, indeed. Feels like it.
Or 19th.
It feels like it.
Elisa Murphy here, also social producer Elisa, and she's there. Alicia Cruz on the phones. Cyprian Balding here. We got the whole. Everybody came in for your birthday today.
Thanks,
even
everyone.
Cyprian Balding.
Thank you very much.
Our videographer. We get a big wave right there. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cyprian's dressed up today. We've got the big Christmas party.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. He looks good.
And as if, right, there's not enough going on, we got the big Bill Press Show birthday party.
Christmas party.
I'm sorry. Office Christmas party today, to which you, of course, are all invited. We just won't tell you what restaurant.
That's right.
Because we're afraid you might show up.
Please don't show up. We have a bad history of
now.
Those parties.
But I do want you to know the President and First Lady looked great last night. They were in great form. They do this for the media party. I'm not sure they do it for every Christmas party, but they stand there and they get their picture taken with every last soul that comes to that party. And
inquiring minds want to know, what did you tell the president?
I told the president, I said, Mr. President, I just want you got a lot of support out there among our listeners and our viewers.
Good.
Every day.
Good. I think that's a good thing to tell.
And we've got your back every morning. And he said, you always do, Bill. You always do.
You didn't ask about UFOs?
I didn't ask about UFOs. No, I just decided. But I had a little slip of paper with me. I handed it to him that had UFOs, Keystone Pipeline.
Yep.
Trade deal.
The trade deal, the TPP.
Yeah. Got the whole Affordable Care Act. Got the whole list there. Yeah.
Good. Little to-do list for him.
Slipped it to him. Put that in your pocket, Mr. President. And a lot of our friends were there. A lot of our regular guests on the Bill Press Show. And I got to tell you, they roll out the food table, man. That it's like it's our house. And there's one time you were there during the year, and boy, so they loaded up with nice little, for lamb chops, shrimp, king crab legs.
Wow.
Yeah, just for starters.
Man.
Right? Yeah. Smoked salmon and little, not fillet, but little slices of beef.
Okay.
You know what I'm thinking of.
Like a carpaccio or just like
No.
okay, medallions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
it was very good.
That's the difference between an okay party and a really good party.
And
is the
then
food.
they had a toffee pudding at the dessert table, toffee pudding, a pecan pie, and several different cakes. They were serving slices of and pies, and then cookies galore and chocolate. And it was, yeah. And the bars in every room, and people were having a good time.
Man, that
Yeah.
sounds like a really good time.
The president just said that the White House is yours, and boom, have fun.
Are you hungover this morning?
No, I'm not hungover, but we stayed until they pushed us out. So,
Damn right.
yeah, well, that's right. All right, coming up today, Susan Paige on a Friday joins us from USA Today, as she always does. Looking forward to that. Same with Congresswoman Donna Edwards will be here to tell us about the big battle over the budget and unemployment insurance. And Leo Gerard, head of the Steelworkers Union, one of our good friends here, supporter of the sponsor of the Bill Press Show, will be here as well. And I'll tell you, folks, enjoy flying this holiday weekend because it may be the last time you are able to fly in peace, because they're thinking of allowing cell phones on planes. Oh my God. But first,
This is the Full Court Press.
Other headlines out today. The Weinstein brothers claim Warner Brothers owes them money made from the Hobbit franchise. A $75 million suit filed Wednesday claims Warner Brothers' New Line Cinema division reneged on a 1998 deal that exchanged rights to the film adaptations of The Hobbit for 5% of ticket sales. However, the document states the first motion picture based on the books. After critical success of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Warner Brothers divided the Hobbit story into 3 separate films. Warner Brothers claims these movies are remakes and excluded from the 5% profit.
That's a shady way to do it if that's how they did it.
Yeah, but it's Hollywood, right?
Exactly.
You have to read the fine print.
Yeah.
China aviation authorities are now requiring pilots to learn how to land in smog. Requirements were added after several flight delays in some of China's biggest cities due to low visibility because of heavy smog. Beijing Capital International Airport has some of the worst records in flight delays, with 18% of all flights departing on time. Pilots will use precision auto landing equipment when the visibility falls under 1,300 feet. The new requirement begins in 2014.
Yeah. Why don't they get rid of the smog?
That seems like solving the problem in a very bizarre way.
Yeah, absolutely. But instead, they've got all these slogans. You gave us some of those the other day for why smog is good for you.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
So you wouldn't want to get rid of that.
That's like saying we're going to end drunk driving by making softer cars.
A software company with the skills to find any smartphone has been blocked by phone carriers. Absolute Software offers detective services to find lost or stolen smartphones for around $30 a month. The company's team has recovered more than 30,000 devices, mostly laptops and PCs, over the past 2 decades in more than 104 countries. Loss of insurance plan profits is the reason for blocking the software.
But I get that software on my phone.
So iPhones, I really never think about it being more Mac-minded. If you have an iPhone, you have it just built in.
It's sort of built into your
built in.
Apple phone. But not all phones have it.
They don't allow
not all
it.
phones have it.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you lose this, if I lose my phone, right, but I need somebody else's phone to find it.
Well, you could do it online.
Oh, I could
or
do
you
it
could do it on an
online, right.
iPad or whatever, but you can hunt it down. Which I've had to do more than once.
Well, what I've had to do with mine is call it. So
it's
in the house. So I know it's in the house somewhere. It is.
Yeah. Every time I think I've lost it, it's always in the house somewhere.
Makes you feel pretty dumb when you call your own phone.
Isn't that dumb?
Wait for it to ring. And then it's in your pocket.
Yeah, it's exactly.
All right. Yeah, here we go. I'm telling you, this is... you can exaggerate about some issues. You cannot. There's no way you can exaggerate about this one. It is true when I say this is the end of civilization as we know it. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, has voted 3-2 to consider allowing the use of cell phones on airplanes. Consider it. They haven't ruled yet, but even to consider it, and by the way, they are very positive about it and indicate that they're going to approve it. When they say now they're just going to consider it. But the chairman has said that there is no reason we should not get this logic, right? The chairman has said there's no reason we should not allow use of cell phones on airplanes because the technology on planes has improved to the point where you can fly the plane without flipping upside down if somebody talks on their cell phone. So the cell phone technology no longer interferes with the flying of the aircraft. So based on that, the chairman says, our only concern is the technology. The only reason we banned it before is the technology would interfere again with the flight mechanics or whatever, or the flight instrumentation. So now that that's no longer an issue, he says, then there's no reason to ban. Yes, there is. There is every reason to ban cell phones on planes. Haven't we learned from restaurants? Why do you think they ban them in restaurants? Because they're obnoxious, hearing people interrupt your meal, and especially if they're sitting across the table from you, or even if they're in a room and everybody else has to listen to them. That's why almost every restaurant you go in today, they say, please turn off your cell phone. Doctors' offices, please turn off your cell phone in the waiting room. The dentist, my dentist has a big sign. Please turn off your cell phone. Yeah, I mean, in an enclosed space, it's just an intrusion into our personal space and our personal privacy. We certainly learned that. You don't have to know what it's going to be like on planes. We've seen that on trains. We've seen it on buses. We've seen it on subways. The subway here is just a pain in the ass. Often I'm going down to the White House and people there trying to, particularly because the reception in the subway is not so good. So
hello?
Hello? So they really feel they have to shout so their voice can be heard out of the tunnel.
Exactly, right.
Above ground. Yeah. It's just insane. And also, with a plane, we know what it's like when you have somebody who's just loud talking to somebody else 2 or 3 or 4 rows in back of you. And the thing about people talking on cell phones, 2 things that I've noticed, right, haven't you? Is number 1, they have to shout. Anybody talking on a cell phone has to shout. You can't talk at a normal voice. You have to shout. You have to talk real, real loud so that everybody within 100 yards of you can hear what you're saying. And 2, you can never say anything worthwhile or meaningful or right? Have you ever overheard a telephone conversation that seemed necessary to you? And it wasn't just, right? I mean, a 911 call, okay. But other than that, yeah. And the classic is you can use your cell phones now as soon as you land. So what do you hear all over the plane? We just landed.
We're here.
Just landed.
I'll meet you outside.
We just landed.
We're here. We're okay.
We just landed. Alert the media. We just landed. It is, I mean, I can't tell you how upset because I fly a lot, how upset I am about this. This is just outrageous. So, I mean, look, email, so the technology works. Fine. Email, absolutely. Texting, absolutely. You know, checking your iPad, doing some research, looking at the social websites. Absolutely. Facebook, all that kind of, absolutely. Talking, no freaking way. The public doesn't want it. The latest poll showed 59% of Americans do not want to allow cell phones on planes. Even young people, 18 to 29, the people who do use cell phones the most, 52% of them say, no way on a plane. And certainly flight attendants don't want it. Just think about that.
They have a hard enough time.
They have a hard enough
time. Trying to get you
to
pay attention to what they're doing.
Hey, folks, let's get on this now. We have to make this a cause. 866-55-PRESS, 866-55-77-377. Let's talk about it. How can we stop it? Stop the FCC from allowing use of cell phones on planes. Starts right here this Friday morning on the Bill Press Show. Stop the cell phones.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
This is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour, yes, indeed. The FCC shaking things up, voting 3-2 to consider now allowing the use of cell phones on airplanes because they say technology has changed. It's no longer a threat to aviation, so why not use the cell phones? Who are they kidding? I mean, 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. There is some possible way to overrule the... First of all, people just have to raise hell. People have to raise holy hell about this. Passengers, flight attendants, pilots, anybody concerned with having some personal privacy and peace and quiet, just the ability to be able to take a nap on a plane, right? We got to raise hell about it. The other thing is there is legislation already introduced in Congress to overrule the FCC. Senator Dianne Feinstein and Lamar Alexander in the Senate have introduced legislation which would ban the use of phones for talking, cell phones, talking on commercial aircraft. That same legislation has been introduced in the House by Congressman Bill Schuster from Pennsylvania. Also, the administration, Secretary of Transportation Fox, has said that he is going to take a look at the Department of Transportation's ability by executive order, perhaps, if the FCC rules, to overrule the FCC, see if they got the legal authority, and ban the use of cell phones. So it looks like there's a lot of response to what the public thinks about this, response on the part of everybody but the agency responsible, which is the FCC. And finally, I think the other reason we have to raise hell, again, your comments welcome at 866-55-PRESS, is to convince the airlines, because ultimately the airlines can do whatever they want. If the FCC says it's okay to use phones, the airlines can still say, not on our planes. You know, United, American, Southwest, JetBlue, who's ever left, right? WestJet can say, quiet planes. No cell phones allowed on these planes. I got to tell you, I think they will make tons of money by doing so and giving people the peace and quiet they deserved on a cross-country flight.
This is the Bill Press Show.
My fellow Americans, I am not a crook. No, that's not what I meant to say. Hey, hello, everybody. What do you say? Bill Press here. Now, look, you got a pen and pencil ready? Write down this number, 877-378-8669. Better yet, don't just write down that number. Call that number. Call that number today and make your pledge for Free Speech TV. You know, we're getting right down to the wire here on this season's very, very special holiday season pledge drive for Free Speech TV. It is so important that you help us out, and got to do it now, because we've heard from our friends at Free Speech TV that the returns are not what they should be. Some of you guys have been holding back. I know you want to help, but you just have put it off. Well, now is the time. Put it off no longer. Make that call today and help out Free Speech TV. Look, we know you love Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You wouldn't be calling. This is the kind of unvarnished, independent, freewheeling news and commentary you get nowhere else. Nowhere else. You want non-corporate TV? This is where you find it at Free Speech TV. But Free Speech TV, all of us here, Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Dave Packman, The Ring of Fire, me, Bill Press, we couldn't be here without your help, because there's no government funding, there's no corporation funding. It is all your help that keeps us going. And to help you decide to help us, remember, we got some great gifts for you. If you can give us just $10 a month, $120 a year, 2 copies of 2 great books, my latest, The Obama Hate Machine, and Joe Cirincione's book, Nuclear Nightmares, just hot off the press. For $20 a month, $240 a year, copies of the 3 favorite books that I read this year, including Michael Dibson's great thriller in Sicily called Blood Rain. For $30 a month, copies of 3 CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted in a special program here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who are able to do so and pledge $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you can proudly wear one of these great hand-woven rayon chenille scarves like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. But the most important thing is, this is the time of the year, the only time of the year where you can get a tax, not the only time, but the last time for 2013, you can get a tax deduction for giving to Free Speech TV and making that pledge and keeping us on the air with a kind of hard-hitting news and commentary that you've come to depend on. So please, again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669. 8669. Please do it today. Keep us going. We want to be there for you every day on Free Speech TV. Thank you.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, 33 minutes after the hour on a Friday, December 13, triskaidekaphobia. Don't worry about it. Just stay tuned to The Bill Press Show and you will be okay. And we'll tell you what's going on. It is right now we're talking about the FCC saying, yeah, why not? Let's let cell phones, open up the cell phones on planes. Why not let people only interfere with the pilot's ability to fly the plane anymore? So let's just let people chatter away, talk away. And we need to stop it. How are we going to do so? 866-55-PRESS. There's so much else to talk about. We'll get to the budget in just a little bit. Also, news on the foreign policy front, some of it pretty scary. In North Korea, it just proves don't cross Kim Jong-il, not even if you are related to him, not even if you are his uncle. Yes, Kim Jong-il gave the orders, and yesterday his uncle was executed.
That's cold-blooded, man.
Sure is, yeah. Apparently, his uncle farted at the Thanksgiving dinner table.
It happens.
Yeah, that's what happened, and Kim Jong-il said, that's it. No, got to get him out of the way. So there he's gone. On a more serious note, although that's pretty serious, at least if you were the uncle, it's pretty serious. A lot of splaining on the part of the United States. Still, the use of those drones getting in the way. God knows who okayed this particular mission. I hope it wasn't President Obama himself, but one of our drones was sent out in Pakistan. There's a group of people gathered together, right? Wherever 2 or 3 people are gathered in my name, there I am in the middle of them, said Jesus. But in Pakistan, if 2 or 3 people or more are gathered, we assume that they are terrorists plotting an attack against the United States. There was such a gathering a couple of days ago in Pakistan, 13 people. It was a wedding party. We, of course, assumed they were terrorists about to blow up another site in the United States, and so we zapped them and killed all of them with a U.S. drone strike. It was nothing but Pakistanis, members of this family, at this wedding or on their way to this wedding. All of them were killed. The United States, red-faced today, trying to explain what happened, how we got it so wrong. But of course, there's no collateral damage to the use of drones. We know that because the White House tells us that all the time. We'll get into more of those issues coming up a little bit later. Gets back to the cell phones and your reaction. I got to tell you, I don't know what I'll do if they allow it, other than being whoa. Whoa.
Bill,
I almost went there.
Other than being not polite about it.
All other than being not polite on the plane if they allow it. But for now, I think we got to just stop it before it is approved. Warren is out in Seattle, Washington. Hello, Warren. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Hey, the data stream is a different signal than the cell phone signal, different hertz or whatever it is, different frequencies. But, these kids today, they're not using cell phones to make phone calls. They're Skyping. They're video chatting on the plane, on the flight, because data is allowed. So these, I don't think that the kids today will care if the cell phones aren't allowed because the data will still be allowed. And, of course, video chatting is way cooler than cell phone talk.
Well, I don't. Again, texting or whatever, as long as you can't hear their voice, you know what I mean. Now, Skyping though is just like use of a cell phone. It's just you've got a picture. So that's
exactly.
I don't want.
Hopefully they use headphones. I mean.
Well, no, but if they're
Skyping, you have the phone away from you. You can't put the phone up to your ear. You have your phone away from you. So hopefully they're using headphones while they're doing this, and with the airplane noise and everything.
All I'm saying is, if they're talking, no, I don't care whether it's Skyping or cell phone or whatever, or if they've got headphones on, they're still talking. They're still talking out loud. I mean, again, texting, tapping, doing email, fine, but voice, loud voices on the plane, absolutely not. Thanks for the call there, Robert in Chicago. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Bill. As a former aviation fire control technician from the Navy,
yes,
I think that the airlines are not going to allow it, period, because of insurance purposes. Now, things break.
Why insurance purposes? I hope you're right, but why insurance?
Well, you're talking about coaxial, triaxial cables that shield everything from the radioactive interference. Okay, so the way that we do the repairs when it breaks is we splice it together. Well, that's going to open them up to whenever an accident happens, every single lawyer out there looking to see every single triaxial, coaxial cable repair done throughout the last 2 or 3 years.
I see. So the airlines, to protect themselves, right, will not allow it, you're saying?
Correct.
That's an interesting angle. I hope you're right. But I think the airlines also, just in terms of customer service and consumer relations, would not allow it. Robert, appreciate it. Oh, now look here. Let's solve one mystery right now. How the hell was Peter in Charleston, South Carolina last weekend and miss getting together?
I missed Ike.
And miss getting together with Ike. Ike, where the hell were you?
What? Oh, Peter, you're lying. Oh, okay.
Well, then I wasn't gonna tell them about the Southern Belle, Ike, but that's up to you, buddy.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna tell them where I found your cell phone, where the last place I saw you, which was behind the dumpster at the Southern Belle with a stripper. But okay, fine. Happy birthday, Peter! And
thanks, buddy.
Some reason I got a flash in my mind, with Bill Press on a plane somewhere, and it's like a scene from Animal House where Belushi takes that guy's guitar and smashes the daylight.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you got it. And I have done that on the quiet car on Amtrak. Believe me, I am the cop on the quiet when I go to New York on that Amtrak in the quiet car. If anybody dares use their cell phone, man, I am up out of my seat and pouncing on them.
Well, hey, and I'm glad you passed along the message to President Obama. Yeah, there are a bunch of us out here that got his back, and we're sick and tired of seeing him getting beat up in the media.
Well, thank you. I thought it was important that he know that. Yeah, right. So what do you think about these cell phones now, Ike? You going to join the crusade here? Stop them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The only bright side I could think of on it is they wouldn't be talking to you. But there again, if they're running their mouth on the plane, that's just not good.
Well, that's the problem. They're not talking to you, but you've got to listen in on the damn conversation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not fair. Not fair. All right.
Yeah. Hey, Peter. Next time.
Yes, sir.
Fluffy says she wants to see you when you come back to town.
Thank you,
Fluffy.
Don't. Let's not. What happens in Charleston stays in Charleston. Thank you, Ike.
No.
Buddy.
That's Las Vegas.
Yeah. No. I know.
That's not Charleston. Well, so there is some. If everything else fails, maybe Congress will do the right thing in this case. Senator Dianne Feinstein and Lamar Alexander in the Senate are on this case already. Bud Schuster is on the case in the House. Department of Transportation is looking into it, but the first decision comes down from the FCC. They're the ones that have to make the decision. And again, the idea that the chairman of the FCC would say, it's just, if the technology works, then we're for it. That's crazy. Let me tell you how crazy that is, right? Smoking does not interfere with flying the airplane. Nobody ever claimed that smoking would interfere with the navigation system, and yet we banned smoking on planes. Now, why? There's a health reason there, too. But I would say cell phones are also a health reason. The mental health,
exactly.
The mental health of all the other passengers. This is, I'm telling you, this is now one of my favorite causes. And I think there are two sides to almost, I'm willing to admit, there are two sides to almost every issue, right? And I say that as a committed liberal and proud of it. There are two sides to every issue. There are not two sides to this issue. No way. Cell phones on planes. Susan Paige weighs in from USA Today on all the other news of the day when we come back here on this Friday edition, birthday edition of The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, Bill Press here. Listen, I got to have a serious talk with you today. I mean, come on. I can't tell you how disappointed I am. You know, for the last 10 days, we've been telling you all about free speech and asking for your help here at the end of the year. It's important for Free Speech TV. It's also important for you because you get a chance to take that tax deduction at the end of the year. And we've been reminding you, free speech bringing you the kind, again, of independent, hard-hitting, unvarnished news and commentary that you depend on and that you want to hear every day from Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and me, David Backman, and Ring of Fire and others on Free Speech TV. And we've been asking for your help, but frankly, the response has been a lot less than we had hoped. It's been pretty pathetic. So just got to ask you to get with it here and really help us out. I'm not kidding. Free Speech TV, remember, gets no government funding. It gets no corporate funding. We depend entirely on your help. Wouldn't be here without you. And I know the last thing that you would want to see is for Free Speech TV not to meet its goals and have to cut back on any of its programming. So if you've been putting it off, I just ask you not to delay any longer. Just a few days left in this pledge drive. So please pick up the phone today. Make that call to 877-378-8669. Rejoin the team. Re-up your sponsorship of Free Speech TV if you're already a partner. If not, become a partner in this great media enterprise called Free Speech TV. And you know, there are great rewards we offer you for doing so for $120 a year, $10 a month. A copy of my latest book, Obama Hate Machine, and Joe Cirincioni's new book, Nuclear Nightmares. For $20 a month, $240 a year, copy of the 3 favorite books of mine that I read in 2013. For $360, $30 a month, you've got a copy of 3 interviews, CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted at the Hill Center here in Washington, D.C. And then if you're blessed enough and lucky enough to be able to afford $1,000 for a pledge for Free Speech TV, you will be the proud wearer of one of these beautiful hand-woven, you pick it out yourself, hand-woven scarves by my wife, Carol Press. The important thing is we're not feeling the love here, folks, and there are not many days left, so we really ask you to dig in, make your pledge today. Again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669, to keep free speech going the way you like it, with a group of people who are fiercely independent, proudly progressive, and bringing you the news and commentary of the day, every day, all across this great land of ours. But the important thing is we are here for you. We need you to be there for us now. Thank you.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is The Bill Press Show.
14 minutes before the top of the hour. Yes, indeed, Jesus and Santa were white. We know that now because Megyn Kelly announced it yesterday on Fox News. And she said, just deal with it, kids. That's the way it is. You just got to grow up knowing that Jesus and Santa were white. That's just amazing, you know. How do we ever get along before Fox News? You know?
Yeah.
How do we ever... I mean, basic truths like that just went, I guess, unknown and unrevealed. But if you want the... what's the transition out of Susan Paige out of that? I don't know. Why I got myself in some trouble there. Here's the transition. 13 minutes before the top of the hour. There were a lot of great people at the White House Christmas party last night. But I was most pleased to see Susan Paige there, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today. Susan, it was a great party, wasn't it?
It's always a thrill to go to the White House. It's a thrill to go to a party like that. I actually still get a little thrill just walking through the gates to go to a briefing.
You know what? I still do, like every day. But last night I thought that was very, very well organized and people were in great form. I thought the President and the First Lady were in a good mood, given that they have to stand there and shake hands and have their photos taken with everybody, but still...
And presumably jet-lagged from the round trip to South Africa.
They still got to be, right? Yeah. Well, I don't know whether, Susan, you had a chance. Thank you so much again for joining us today, and nice to see you last night. I don't know whether you had a chance to catch any of the briefing yesterday. I was there. David Jackson, of course, representing you all at USA Today was there. But there's been this pent-up and building up kind of, strong feelings among the press corps about the lack of access, particularly to White House photographers, and it really erupted yesterday.
You know, this has been building since day one. You know, the first time this was of concern, it's when the White House had that re-swearing in for President Obama, and they did not have anyone except the official photographer in there to record what was clearly a public event, an event of public interest and public importance.
An historic moment.
An historic moment. And since then, this White House has limited the access of news photographers to big events like this. And we're not talking about family events that ought to be private, things in the residence, but events that really are where you would be justified in letting news photographers in. And I think it has really built up to a head. And in fact, USA Today has announced that we will no longer use those White House handout photos for events like that ought to be open to news photographers, except in the most extraordinary circumstances like that Osama bin Laden picture.
Good for you. And I think if more news organizations do that, maybe finally the White House will get the message. They certainly got the message, I think, yesterday. and you know, the what really... And I've been going to the White House for just 5 years now, but I've never seen a press briefing like yesterday where it just went got out of control. And the issue was, as somebody pointed out, that on that flight to South Africa, right, 20 hours, President Obama and President Bush are on the same plane, right? Talk about history. And the White House photographers, those who cover the White House, were never once invited up to the front of the plane to get a picture of the two of them together. And Jay Carney started out by saying, well, you know, a lot of the time they were asleep. And that just that pissed everybody off, right?
It's an issue that I think is not going to go away. And I'll tell you one big concern that those journalists have is whatever restrictions one White House puts on, the next White House just puts on more. It's very hard to reverse these things. You really need to be vigilant about press access for not just reporters, also for photographers to events that are public events of historic importance that involve the president.
Right. Now, meantime, yesterday was, talk about a do-nothing Congress, but yesterday they got busy, and they actually, they wanted to get out of town today, passed the budget 332 to 94.
So it is possible to do something on a bipartisan basis, and not a big deal. I mean, in terms of like big, far-reaching things, a small deal, but it means we won't have a shutdown for 2 years. Likely.
And we won't have this month-to-month, fiscal crisis to deal with.
And you know what? Maybe it's one of those small steps that could possibly, maybe, sometime in the future, lead to bigger ones.
Why do you think that Republicans would choose not to extend unemployment benefits as part of this budget? It's not that much money, and, what votes are they getting by doing? I don't understand why they would leave town without doing that.
Now, who was it who explained that they were really doing a favor to the unemployed? Was that Rand Paul, who said that you shouldn't extend it because that way they'll be unemployed longer, and that would make it harder for them to get jobs. So that was his rationale. But that was something that some Democrats, including Chris Van Hollen, were really pushing for, and just could not get over the finish line. No,
but it reminded me of last summer when they left town without lowering locking in the lower rate for student loans, right?
Yeah.
And just angered a lot of people, and then they came back and they did it, right?
Yeah.
The same thing here. It seems to me they're going to have to do it, and they should have done it as part of the budget deal. I just don't understand it. I don't know whether you had a chance last night, Susan, when you had your moment with the president, to tell him the latest about the polls that you reported on.
You know what I say to the president during that picture-taking session?
Merry Christmas.
Say, "Hello, Mr. President, thank you." and then you are pulled away by the military escort.
That's about all the time.
Do you have a big conversation with him?
No,
that's my experience.
We don't have that much time, of course.
Yeah.
I talk more to the First Lady than you have a chance to. But what did you find, you and Pew, with the polling that you did? Because there are a lot of different polls that came out this week. What did yours show?
Well, I'll tell you, the number one thing ours showed is a big cost to President Obama of this year, this disastrous first year of his second term, especially the last few months, and especially from his signature achievement, which is healthcare. It has cost him his standing as someone who can get things done, as an honest and trustworthy person. Maybe he'll be able to rebuild that. An improving economy could certainly help. But this has been a very expensive year for President Obama.
In terms of overall approval rating and credibility across the board, huh?
Exactly. In terms of not just people disapprove of the Affordable Care Act, which in our poll reaches a new high, in our USA Today Pew Research Center poll. It's also that they changed their understanding, their perception of him as a leader, so that the number of people who say he's someone who can get things done fell to a new low. The number of people who said he is an honest and trustworthy person fell to a new low. And these are core values that you want your president to have.
Right, absolutely. There was so much riding on getting that website right from the beginning, and it really has cost them, and your poll certainly confirms that. There we go, Susan. Well, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for getting up early this morning, particularly after partying all night last night.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, great. See you again, Susan Paige. She's great. Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
This is the Bill Press Show.
My fellow Americans, I am not a crook. No, that's not what I meant to say. Hey, hello, everybody. What do you say? Bill Press here. Now, look, you got a pen and pencil ready? Write down this number, 877-378-8669. Better yet, don't just write down that number. Call that number. Call that number today and make your pledge for Free Speech TV. You know, we're getting right down to the wire here on this season's very, very special holiday season pledge drive for Free Speech TV. It is so important that you help us out, and got to do it now, because we've heard from our friends at Free Speech TV that the returns are not what they should be. Some of you guys have been holding back. I know you want to help, but you just have put it off. Well, now is the time. Put it off no longer. Make that call today and help out Free Speech TV. Look, we know you love Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You wouldn't be calling. This is the kind of unvarnished, independent, freewheeling news and commentary you get nowhere else. Nowhere else. You want non-corporate TV? This is where you find it at Free Speech TV. But Free Speech TV, all of us here, Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Dave Packman, The Ring of Fire, me, Bill Press, we couldn't be here without your help, because there's no government funding, there's no corporation funding. It is all your help that keeps us going. And to help you decide to help us, remember, we got some great gifts for you. If you can give us just $10 a month, $120 a year, 2 copies of 2 great books, my latest, The Obama Hate Machine, and Joe Cirincione's book, Nuclear Nightmares, just hot off the press. For $20 a month, $240 a year, copies of the three favorite books that I read this year, including Michael Dibson's great thriller in Sicily called Blood Rain. For $30 a month, copies of 3 CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted in a special program here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who are able to do so and pledge $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you can proudly wear one of these great hand-woven rayon chenille scarves like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. But the most important thing is this is the time of the year, the only time of the year where you can get a tax, not the only time, but the last time for 2013, you can get a tax deduction for giving to Free Speech TV and making that pledge and keeping us on the air with the kind of hard-hitting news and commentary that you've come to depend on. So please, again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669. Please do it today. Keep us going. We want to be there for you every day on Free Speech TV. Thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go. Ellen Ratner, with Talk Radio News, Washington Bureau Chief, will be here in studio with us in the next hour, and we'll be talking to Leo Gerard, too, from the Steelworkers Union. Peter, what else is going on?
This is something that you never, ever, ever hear about in music, but it actually happened last night, just after midnight, just a couple of hours ago.
Really?
Beyonce released a brand new album with zero pre-promotion, hasn't talked about it, hasn't given any interviews on it, has had no press. She just put it up on iTunes, a brand new full album that you can go download right now. It's self-titled. She has a duet with her husband, Jay-Z, on there, and nobody knew it was coming.
But how are they going to get the word out? I guess we just did,
We just
right?
did.
Yeah, how about that? All right. There you are looking for another holiday present for yourself. Now you got it. Beyonce.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
My fellow Americans, I am not a crook. No, that's not what I meant to say. Hey, hello, everybody. What do you say? Bill Press here. Now, look, you got a pen and pencil ready? Write down this number, 877-378-8669. Better yet, don't just write down that number. Call that number. Call that number today and make your pledge for Free Speech TV. We're getting right down to the wire here on this season's very, very special holiday season pledge drive for Free Speech TV. It is so important that you help us out, and got to do it now, because we've heard from our friends at Free Speech TV that the returns are not what they should be. Some of you guys have been holding back. I know you want to help, but you just have put it off. Well, now is the time. Put it off no longer. Make that call today and help out Free Speech TV. Look, we know you love Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You wouldn't be calling. This is the kind of unvarnished, independent, freewheeling news and commentary you get nowhere else. Nowhere else. You want non-corporate TV? This is where you find it at Free Speech TV. But Free Speech TV, all of us here, Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Dave Packman, The Ring of Fire, me, Bill Press, we couldn't be here without your help, because there's no government funding, there's no corporation funding. It is all your help that keeps us going. And to help you decide to help us, remember, we got some great gifts for you. If you can give us just $10 a month, $120 a year, 2 copies of 2 great books, my latest, The Obama Hate Machine, and Joe Cirincione's book, Nuclear Nightmares, just hot off the press. For $20 a month, $240 a year, copies of the 3 favorite books that I read this year, including Michael Dibson's great thriller in Sicily called Blood Rain. For $30 a month, the copies of 3 CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted in a special program here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who are able to do so and pledge $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you can proudly wear one of these great hand-woven rayon chenille scarves like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. But the most important thing is this is the time of the year, the only time of the year where you can get a tax, not the only time, but the last time for 2013, you can get a tax deduction for giving to Free Speech TV and making that pledge and keeping us on the air with the kind of hard-hitting news and commentary that you've come to depend on. So please, again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669. Please do it today. Keep us going. We want to be there for you every day on Free Speech TV. Thank you.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek, now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realized that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the products suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
1.3 million Americans lose their unemployment insurance at the end of the year, but Republicans decided they're going to go home today without doing anything about it because they just don't give a damn. Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Friday, December 13. So good to see you today, and thank you for joining us. The Bill Press Show coming to you live all across this great land of ours. First of all, on your local progressive talk radio station, we are your morning radio team and proud to be so. Well, you can also find us on Free Speech TV if you got a satellite dish on DirecTV or the Dish Network. And, of course, if you prefer to just watch the video stream, you can do that too. It's TawkrTV, TAWKR TV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. And whether you're listening, whether you're watching, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you for joining us. We got lots to talk about this hour because it's a big news day here from our nation's capital. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital. Somebody who brings you news from the capital every day is the Talk Radio News Service, the head of which, founder of which, I believe, certainly the Washington bureau chief of which, Ellen Ratner here is in studio with us this morning.
Well, thank you so much for having
Ellen.
me. And I
Nice
just
to
saw
see
you
you.
yesterday night at the White House Christmas party.
nice
You were
party,
looking very
wasn't it?
good, and so was your wife.
Thank you. Yeah, Susan Paige joined us in the last hour. She was there last night. You're here this hour. You were there last night. It was sort of like I was telling the team earlier. There were a lot of our guests and friends who were there.
It was interesting. I found actually President Obama friendlier last night than he's ever been. He was very friendly last night.
He was in a good mood. And
Yeah, he was in a great mood.
I expected him to be just worn out after that trip down to South Africa.
Well, and also a budget fight.
And the budget fight as well, which we'll be talking about with Congresswoman Donna Edwards a little bit later coming up.
Did the president try and take any selfies at the party last night? He's gotten pretty good at that.
You know, everybody was tempted to walk up with their cell phone and say, "Can we get a selfie?" But Michelle would not have allowed it.
No.
I don't think so. Anyhow, our team here, Peter Ogburn, Elisa Murphy here
Hello.
this morning.
Hey.
Good morning, guys. It's Peter's birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Ellen. That's so sweet. Thank you.
Alicia Cruz has the phones covered, and Cyprian Balding keeps us all looking good to the extent that he can on the video camera. So thank you, Cyprian. You mentioned the budget fight yesterday. The real fight was in the inside the Republican Party, where some of the Tea Party groups, American Heritage, Americans for Prosperity, the Koch brothers, say, we don't like this budget deal. John Boehner was not happy about that.
He wasn't, and he came out yesterday and basically said, these people don't know what they're talking about. And
hadn't read it?
That's right. I mean, he went nuts on him.
Oh, yeah. Did he ever? Here he is when he was asked about whether or not they're doing any good for the Republican Party.
But if you'll recall, the day before the government reopened, one of the people at one of these groups stood up and said, well, we never really thought it would work. Are you kidding me?
That's what he says about that. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
I love that. I've never seen Boehner.
He got so serious when he said that, and the look on his face was terrifying.
Well, I have to say this. John Boehner's a Republican. I'm a Democrat. But I do have to say he is from the great state of Ohio, and sometimes people from Ohio get it right.
No, absolutely. And he, on this one, I think
Just where I'm from, of course.
Oh, got it. But I think he had it up to here with these groups who are against everything, and God knows.
Well, they want to unseat John Boehner.
Exactly. And, he has given them, so many times he has backed them up and stood with them and let them undo stuff where, you knew Boehner was ready to make a deal with President Obama a couple of years ago, and they said, no, you can't do that. And so he said, okay. I think he's finally just decided he's going to fight back, which is great.
It is very good. And again, sometimes the good Ohioan comes out in somebody.
Are you kidding me?
Ellen's here for the first half hour. Leo Gerard, president of the Steelworkers, will be joining us a little bit later. And again, in the next hour, Congresswoman Donna Edwards from Maryland, a real fighter, and was out there fighting hard yesterday for this unemployment benefits, will be joining us as well. And Ellen will find out what you're up to. But first, Lisa's got the big stories of the day here.
Press.
Got a big football game last night. The San Diego Chargers stunned the Denver Broncos. Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers kept Manning on the sideline most of the game and handed the Denver Broncos an unexpected 27-20 loss last night. Rivers threw 2 touchdown passes and kept the Chargers offense on the field for nearly 40 minutes, keeping their playoff hopes alive. The Chargers are now 7-7, and the Denver Broncos are 11-3.
You know what's funny is Peyton Manning has this reputation of not being a very good quarterback in cold weather.
Oh.
And so now that we've moved into severe cold weather
Where'd
around
they
the
play,
country.
in Denver?
Yeah, and so like now they've got these problems where he's not playing so good.
Maybe they'll trade him to the Saints or something.
Yeah,
right. Warm.
As Americans are gearing up for holiday travel, federal bus safety regulators have shut down 52 bus companies. The crackdown found bus drivers with suspended licenses and some driving routes more than 800 miles without rest.
Ooh.
Out of 1,300 buses inspected, 340 were taken off the road temporarily. The 52 companies that were shut down put safety by the wayside in order to compete in a very tight market, said Ann Farrow of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Overall, the motor coach industry carries 700 million passengers a year in the U.S., about the same as airlines.
You see all of these, we hear a lot of airline safety and everything, bus safety.
Yeah.
Right? How many of these accidents do you see where the buses roll over, flip over, the driver falls asleep,
That's
all that
exactly
stuff?
it. And they unfortunately don't pay nor test the way they should. The payment of people who drive buses, like from here to New York, it's scary. So
Yeah.
I try and find that cheap train. And now that I'm over 62, I get the Amtrak discount.
The Amtrak discount, and you go in the quiet car?
Well, I often go on the quiet car. That's right. But
Yeah.
the discount's great.
Your local convenience store may be a bit jammed today. The Mega Millions lottery game is sporting its second largest jackpot ever, an estimated $400 million. The jackpot has been growing since October 1, rolling over 20 times without a winner. Friday's Mega Millions drawing is the 5th largest lottery jackpot of any kind in U.S.
So
history.
this isn't Powerball. This is
Mega Millions.
Mega Millions.
I wonder if
And
you can...
it's today.
Whoa. Whenever the pot gets real big, I know it's the reverse as what you ought to do.
Yeah.
Your chances are smaller if the
What would you
pot
do
is
if you won
bigger.
all that money?
I'll tell you one thing.
I know what he wouldn't do.
I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't be here at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning or Monday morning.
Well, you'd be buy goats in Africa.
There you go.
There you go. Speaking of, Ellen Ratner is the only one who is that I know who would dare do this. She has actually formed an organization called Goats for the Old Goat. You being the old goat, right?
I did it for my 60th birthday. I figured, I woke up one morning, I said, I am an old goat. So our people in Africa, and I go to Africa about every 12 weeks, South Sudan specifically. It's the world's newest country, number 193, a member of the United Nations. And
and one of the world's poorest countries?
Well, it's considered, parts of South Sudan are considered the hungriest place on earth. Parts of it are more remote than parts of the uncontacted tribe of the Amazons, actually.
Whoa.
And there was a civil war there, or actually 2 civil wars, but that really was an Arab-Christian war, where over a period of about 40 years, because there were 2 wars, almost 4.5 million people killed. It's considered the largest genocide since World War II, worse than Rwanda and Cambodia combined.
Combined?
Yes.
Whoa. Is there a stable government there now?
There is a relatively stable government. There's some rumors that President Kiir may be subject to a coup, but basically it's pretty stable. It's fairly Christian and what's called animist, people who worship trees or whatever. And that's basically, and then the north, which is now a separate country, is Arab, and then there is also Darfur. So the north is Arab Muslim, and Darfur is African Muslim, and then there's the South, which is African Christian animist.
No, you were here last year, and we talked about the GOAT program, which is, so why is that important to these people?
So
and what are you
basically
doing?
what
Yeah,
happens
tell us
is I
about it.
work with a group called Christian Solidarity International, and they're not Bible thumpers because I don't think the Bible thumpers work in Africa. But they're a human rights organization, and I'm Jewish, and they believe in bringing back people from the north. Well, now people say, oh, you pay for slaves. Well, no, the issue is that after the war, there were these Arab Dinka peace committees founded, and they said that in exchange for cow vaccine, which prevents tsetse fly, that they would let their people go. So we bring back people every 3 or 4 months, and what we do is we give them what's called a sack of hope, which has a mosquito tent and a water bottle and a blanket, because it can get cold, believe it or not, in the middle of nowhere near the equator, can get down to 40, 50 degrees sometimes. And we give them also grain so that they can plant, and a hoe. And then we give them now a female she-goat. That's the thing I sort of did for my 60th birthday. And what it allows, when they say, well, how do these people, where do they go? What happens is the chiefs come back. When the people come back, the chiefs, most people, if they're over 10 years old, know what village they're from. Even I have a son who was blinded by his master in the North purposely. He's now in New York learning English and actually is quite fluent after being here 2 years. He even knew what village he was from. So we were able to find his uncle. His mother was killed. And so the chiefs come back, and then they come back and they have like 10 goats. And so if they take back 10 people, so now they can begin a herd, they can begin a dairy, and a lot of our people eat every other day. And so this allows them to eat. Also, this lovely heart I'm wearing is made by women on our post-traumatic stress disorder program. And they have seen or heard somebody killed in front of them. And so we have them make hearts in addition to a yogic breathing that we teach them.
Where do they live? Is there land available?
There's a lot of land available.
Collectives,
there's a lot of land. People live in these huts that they make literally out of mud and straw. And so that's where people live. And there's no running water, no electricity. By the way, we invite people to come on one of our trips. If you have an urge to live with no electricity and no running water.
I was just going to say, you invite people to come, and that you just told them we have no electricity and no running water.
We don't,
right?
And I go every 12 weeks. And actually, you know something, Bill? I've learned to sleep better there than anywhere on earth. I just like it there. Maybe because I'm always
it's so
cold.
Quiet?
Maybe because it's warm, and I'm always cold. So.
And where do you get these goats?
So we buy them at market, and now actually some of our heart women raise the goats. And so we buy them at market, and then they raise them, and we only give out she-goats because those are the ones we give milk, and we vaccinate them on our website, goatsfortheoldgoat.com. That's goatsfortheoldgoat.com. It says exactly how we use the money, and without naming names, I will tell you we're the only animal group that gives people a photo of their animal. You just told me you didn't get your photo, so I'm going to double check because I remember taking your photo. I take the photos myself.
Okay.
And the reason I do that...
I bought a goat last year, and I was glad. I was happy to do so. I'm going to buy another goat this year. I think it's great.
I also want to give you this. This is a photograph that was taken by a fellow talk show host's son, who is our fellow talk show host, a right-winger, but the son is not.
Let me hold this up, Cyprian, so I'll hold up so you can...
Right.
It's a striking photo. Tell us about it.
Okay, so the woman in the pink is now receiving her niece, who has been held in slavery, and you can tell by the way she's dressed. There's quite a difference. And she's she knew, because we know what villages people come from. So the relatives come and meet their relatives from their villages. And this is the first time she has seen her niece who has been held in slavery.
Wow.
And that photograph was taken by Washington's James Cullum. He's got some amazing photos. And we have those available too.
So I'm going to come back to the goats because I want our listeners and our viewers to understand how they can help. So they can make a donation.
You can give a partial goat. You can give a full goat.
Yeah.
Yes. And what we do with photos for partial goat, a full goat is $60. You get your own sign that says this goat is for so and so, and it could be for a gift. It can be for you. It can be for anything. And I take we manufacture the signs here in Washington. I take them to South Sudan with me. I take the photos. I mean, I don't want to cast aspersions on the people from Africa, but I don't necessarily trust, they're hungry and people need money. Yeah. I don't trust that they're not going to give somebody $2 and say, here, take a photo and then keep the goat. So I give away the goats, and along with other Americans that come with me, and we take the photos.
Mm-hmm. So people can make a contribution. Goats for the Old Goat. Go to the website, Goats for the Old Goat. We'll have a link up on our website as well. For $60, you provide this goat, which then...
And you get a certificate immediately, but the photo can take up to a year.
Right. And you get to name the goat?
You get to name... You can either name it, you can say it's for somebody, you can say for Aunt Susan, and the goat's name is, Susie or whatever.
And then you use that to actually get a goat and actually give the goat to a person.
That's
coming
right.
Back
I personally pay all the overhead of the organization. So every dollar, we're cheaper than any other goat group. There is another goat group that's now saying, $50, but they're being matched by the Johnson & Johnson Foundation, so their goats are actually $100. Every cent you spend, and it's on our website how we spend our money.
And you have done how many goats so far?
Well, I think we're about between 3,000 and 4,000. I don't have the exact number.
Wow.
Yes.
Isn't that great? Yeah,
yes.
Nice. Really good.
That's for an individual. So that means 3,000 to 4,000 people have actually gotten a goat, and they're using it. And if somebody's goat dies, we do replace it.
What I love about it is, you can write a lot of checks and you never know what happens to that money, right? I mean, this is $60 that goes to a real live goat.
And if somebody wants to travel with us, they can come see for themselves.
Right, but no electricity and no running water. Remember that. More questions for Ellen, more about this program, Goats for the Old Goat, when we come back at 866-55-PRESS, Friday morning.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
My fellow Americans, I am not a crook. No, that's not what I meant to say. Hey, hello, everybody. What do you say? Bill Press here. Now, look, you got a pen and pencil ready? Write down this number, 877-378-8669. Better yet, don't just write down that number. Call that number. Call that number today and make your pledge for Free Speech TV. You know, we're getting right down to the wire here on this season's very, very special holiday season pledge drive for Free Speech TV. It is so important that you help us out, and got to do it now, because we've heard from our friends at Free Speech TV that the returns are not what they should be. Some of you guys have been holding back. I know you want to help, but you just have put it off. Well, now is the time. Put it off no longer. Make that call today and help out Free Speech TV. Look, we know you love Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You wouldn't be calling. This is the kind of unvarnished, independent, freewheeling news and commentary you get nowhere else. Nowhere else. You want non-corporate TV? This is where you find it at Free Speech TV. But Free Speech TV, all of us here, Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Dave Packman, The Ring of Fire, me, Bill Press, we couldn't be here without your help, because there's no government funding, there's no corporation funding. It is all your help that keeps us going. And to help you decide to help us, remember, we got some great gifts for you. If you can give us just $10 a month, $120 a year, 2 copies of 2 great books, my latest, The Obama Hate Machine, and Joe Cirincione's book, Nuclear Nightmares, just hot off the press. For $20 a month, $240 a year, copies of the 3 favorite books that I read this year, including Michael Dibson's great thriller in Sicily called Blood Rain. For $30 a month, copies of 3 CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted in a special program here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who are able to do so and pledge $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you can proudly wear one of these great hand-woven rayon chenille scarves like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. But the most important thing is, this is the time of the year, the only time of the year where you can get a tax, not the only time, but the last time for 2013, you can get a tax deduction for giving to Free Speech TV and making that pledge and keeping us on the air with the kind of hard-hitting news and commentary that you've come to depend on. So please, again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669. Please do it today. Keep us going. We want to be there for you every day on Free Speech TV. Thank you.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Yeah.
Here we go at 26 minutes after the hour. Leo Gerard. The New York Times, I love Leo Gerard. He's my kind of labor leader. New York Times called him the incendiary president of the steelworkers. I mean, you know, anybody that's got some fight in them. They're
editorializing in news stories drives me to drink.
Absolutely. Ellen Ratner, head of Talk Radio News and founder of Goats for the Old Goat program. I think it's a great program. Does wonderful, wonderful work in the South Sudan. You got my goat for this year, and I encourage you to do the same. But you have a lot of fun with this program.
I do have a lot of fun with this program, and I like the goats.
And you do a lot of good. That's
right,
the great part of
But
it.
I've stopped kissing the goats. I used to kiss each one before it went away. But then I found out about Rift Valley fever, and that it was the end for me.
Rift Valley fever?
You don't want to get it.
No. Okay. Right.
And 60% of all human disease.
Can I give the goat without having to kiss the goat?
Yes, you can. Yeah. I actually have a little antelope pet there that was given to me, and it's called a dik-dik. And I always say I'm the only lesbian I know with a dik-dik. It's a dik-dik antelope.
So people can give $60 full goat. Goes to these people, no strings attached. They've got it.
Or you can give a partial goat, or you can get one of these beautiful Swarovski crystal hearts that are made by our women who've seen somebody killed in front of them. It's all on our website.
So the partial goat, $40 or
$10.
$20, whatever they can do. 10 is the minimum.
Right.
All right, good. Again, go to their website. Go to the website, Goats for the Old Goat. Got it up here, goatsfortheoldgoat.com. We'll have a link up on our website. It's a great cause, great thing to do. You do great work. Ellen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And come to South Sudan.
And also thanks to you and all the team at Talk Radio News, too.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with Leo Gerard.
This is the Bill Press Show.
My fellow Americans, I am not a crook. No, that's not what I meant to say. Hey, hello, everybody. What do you say? Bill Press here. Now, look, you got a pen and pencil ready? Write down this number, 877-378-8669. Better yet, don't just write down that number. Call that number. Call that number today and make your pledge for Free Speech TV. You know, we're getting right down to the wire here on this season's very, very special holiday season pledge drive for Free Speech TV. It is so important that you help us out, and got to do it now, because we've heard from our friends at Free Speech TV that the returns are not what they should be. Some of you guys have been holding back. I know you want to help, but you just have put it off. Well, now is the time. Put it off no longer. Make that call today and help out Free Speech TV. Look, we know you love Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You wouldn't be calling. This is the kind of unvarnished, independent, freewheeling news and commentary you get nowhere else. Nowhere else. You want non-corporate TV? This is where you find it at Free Speech TV. But Free Speech TV, all of us here, Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Dave Packman, The Ring of Fire, me, Bill Press, we couldn't be here without your help, because there's no government funding, there's no corporation funding. It is all your help that keeps us going. And to help you decide to help us, remember, we got some great gifts for you. If you can give us just $10 a month, $120 a year, 2 copies of 2 great books, my latest, The Obama Hate Machine, and Joe Cirincione's book, Nuclear Nightmares, just hot off the press. For $20 a month, $240 a year, copies of the 3 favorite books that I read this year, including Michael Dibson's great thriller in Sicily called Blood Rain. For $30 a month, copies of 3 CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted in a special program here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who are able to do so and pledge $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you can proudly wear one of these great hand-woven rayon chenille scarves like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. But the most important thing is this is the time of the year, the only time of the year where you can get a tax, not the only time, but the last time for 2013, you can get a tax deduction for giving to Free Speech TV and making that pledge and keeping us on the air with the kind of hard-hitting news and commentary that you've come to depend on. So please, again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669. Please do it today. Keep us going. We want to be there for you every day on Free Speech TV. Thank you.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
On a Friday 13 at 33 minutes after the hour, here we go, The Bill Press Show rolling on this Friday morning. From our studio right here on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., brought to you today by the United Steelworkers and their colorful, powerful, unpredictable, maybe, International President Leo Gerard, the good men and women of the Steelworkers Union under President Gerard, North America's largest industrial union representing over 1.2 million active and retired members. You can find out more about their great work at USW, the website, usw.org. And I should say, you can find out more by just checking in with President Leo Gerard, our guest on our news line this morning. Leo, how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. I didn't know I was unpredictable. My wife tells me I'm totally predictable.
Well, that's better than what the New York Times called you. I have to ask you about this. In this recent article, they said this group included Leo Gerard, the union's incendiary international president.
Yeah, and later they said grizzled. I could live with the first one. I am a little bit of a hothead sometimes, but that second one really hurt.
Well, this article, good to talk to you. It's been too long. Leo, anyhow, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Very interesting story about a refinery. I think it was up in Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania, probably, right?
Yeah, just outside of Philly.
Yeah, exactly. I know that well because I had a couple of uncles that worked at that refinery in Marcus Hook when I was growing up in Delaware. And it was about to shut down a Sunoco refinery, and yet a deal was made to keep it open. And the New York Times talked about you actually saluted the business leaders who were part of that deal, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And why not? Right?
Look, this was a. I'm not going to complain about their article. They wrote what they wrote, and they only get so much space, I guess, to write about it. But they left off a lot of the story. Sunoco wanted to get out of the business, and for a period of time, they would not entertain even discussing finding another buyer.
Really?
Yeah, and our members, our rank and file members, refused to accept that, and they rode buses and went to Harrisburg. They went to Washington. They walked the corridors of political power, and they got people's attention. And what we wanted was an independent inquiry into the effect of closing that refinery. What would that effect be?
Mm-hmm.
And the effect was pretty clear. It would drive up the price of heating oil and gasoline all up the eastern seaboard. And that came out in the study. And during that time, we kept looking for buyers. And when the study came out, I had opportunity to talk to people in President Obama's administration, and they told Sunoco that they wanted this refinery kept open.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had done a couple of other rescues where Carlyle Group came in particular with Goodyear's engineered rubber products as one of the ones that's pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
And we had discussions with Carlyle Group, and they showed interest. And since they've acquired it in a partnership with Sunoco, Sunoco has 30%. Since they've acquired it, they've put almost $250 million additional dollars into modernizing the facility.
Wow!
They've built a unloading platform, about $100 million, and they've expanded the workforce by 75 people, and it's going to expand probably by another 30 to 40 in the coming year. And so I can tell you I'd have never had an open mind if it would have been Mitt Romney and Bain Capital, because they operate in a much different trend.
Absolutely.
Our relationship on some of these with Carlyle has, they come in, they invest in it, they try to convert it into a real business and try to make it function, and they didn't ask us to give up anything. We made some changes because of things like an unloading dock and things like that, but they didn't try to beat it out of the workers. We have a standard agreement in the petroleum industry, and they lived with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's not like Bain Capital that came into a company like one of our steel mills and said, in a year from now, you won't be working here.
Yeah, right. They came in to shut things down, right, and to take the money and run, where Carlyle, it sounds like, is coming in to make improvements and make the company more successful and remain in business.
Yeah, and look, I'm not known for kissing capital behind here. the fact of the matter is, but the fact of the matter is, on this deal and on the other ones we've done with them, they've come to us with integrity, and they believe in manufacturing, and they believe in manufacturing in America, and for that we acknowledge them.
Well, that's great, and they've also are helping show that manufacturing works in America, right? And and there's money to be made all the way around, and jobs to be saved by keeping plants here and bringing some of those manufacturing jobs back. That's great. Do you have any? Are there any more projects that you're working with Carlyle on at this time?
Not at this point, no. But one of the things that I find interesting, the rail car business is been basically gutted in America. If you want to buy a new rail car for, let's say that you wanted to have your own rail cars that you would contract with a railroad to ship, if you want to buy rail cars, you pretty much got to wait a year to 18 months for delivery.
Are they making them in the United States anymore? No.
Minimal.
Right? Yeah.
Minimal. And so we've had discussions with a number of investors to try to convince them that it would be useful, when you see what's going on with shipping and shipping costs, to invest in railcar businesses. The railroads are expanding. We're going to end up having, at some point in time, high-speed rail. If we can get high-speed rail in the corridors where people can be transported, then the other rail can be used for transportation. And rail transportation is environmentally the safest form of transportation. It uses the least energy once you get momentum going.
And don't forget the city subway systems too. Every time I see the cities buying new subway cars, they're always made somewhere other than the United States, which drives me crazy. I often wonder, what the hell? Why aren't we making them here?
Yeah. So we're trying to promote those ideas. I jokingly say to people that I've now 30% of my job is out trying to convince people to make things.
Yeah, and that used to be what we did, right?
Yeah.
Leo Gerard, again, our guest head of the United Steelworkers Union. It is usw.org is their website. So, Leo, what is your take on the United States Congress that passes a budget yesterday but just doesn't have the time or the heart to extend unemployment benefits, not even for a couple of months to get through the holidays?
Well, look, I'm really disappointed, and I really think that we should have just stood our ground. America's with us, and the thing that I've whether it's the budget, whether it's trade deals, the American public are way out ahead of the politicians. Whether it's the minimum wage, I was with a member of Congress last week, and we got talking about a study that George Miller had done on his committee, and it blew my mind. You know that the Republicans want to cut $4 billion and have cut $4 billion from the food stamp program.
Food stamps, sure.
If we raise the minimum wage to $10.15, that would take $7 billion of savings from the food stamp program because those people wouldn't need as many food stamps.
Yeah.
So instead, and that wouldn't come out of the taxpayers, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And Elizabeth Warren, God love her, she did the analysis. It would add 4 cents to the cost of a Happy Meal. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, so the public is for the minimum wage. The public is against these rotten trade deals. The public is for manufacturing in America. The public is for extending unemployment comp. The politicians are behind it. It seems like they have, there's way too many of them don't have a backbone on our side.
Well, yeah, we see that time and time again. They've done nothing about the minimum wage. And again, here, they were willing to amend their budget deal between the House and the Senate to take care of the doctors so they get their full compensation for treating Medicaid patients, right?
Yeah.
But no interest at all in helping 1.3 million Americans whose unemployment insurance runs out at the end of the year.
Yeah, and you got that stupid Rand Paul. He should go back. He should go back to fixing teeth. But anyhow,
that was eyes, wasn't it? Isn't he? He's
eyes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I thought he was a dentist, but whatever he is, if it's eyes, he's missing the whole picture. To get up and say we're going to deny people extended unemployment comp because if they get unemployment compensation beyond 26 weeks, they're less likely to be able to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they're unemployed more than 26 weeks is there's like 8 people applying for every job when you have a job announcement.
Yeah, right. No, he says, he says we're actually doing people a favor, right, by not extending the unemployment benefits.
Yeah, it's like if I all of a sudden on the 28th week, I don't have unemployment insurance, all of a sudden a job will pop up.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they've got 99 weeks is there's no jobs available. And again, talk about trade. We just finished our board meeting this week, and we did some analysis of what's been happening on trade deals. And it's absolutely breathtakingly shocking. Since passage of NAFTA, the United States has accumulated a 10.3 trillion, not billion, trillion accumulated trade deficits with other countries. And I say to our members, do you know what a billion is? A billion is 1,000 millions. You know what a trillion is? It's 1,000 billions.
Billions.
So imagine, and just with China, since we had passage of trade agreement with China called, Permanent Normalized Trade Relations, PNTR, just with China, we're at $3.4 trillion.
Trade
and what that is a wealth transfer.
Mm-hmm.
It's us transferring our wealth to those other countries.
Yeah,
and you never hear a politician talking about that deficit.
Nope. And there's another bad trade deal coming down the pike too, which we're going to have to fight too. Well, Leo Gerard, we take a little time off for holidays, I guess, but we got a lot more battles for 2014 that we'll be fighting together. So, my friend,
we've got a lot to do, and Merry Christmas, and have a safe holiday season with you and your family and the folks that helped do a great show for you.
All right, thanks, Leo, so much. Thanks for joining us this morning, and great work on that Sunoco plant up in Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania.
This is the Bill Press Show.
My fellow Americans, I am not a crook. No, that's not what I meant to say. Hey, hello, everybody. What do you say? Bill Press here. Now, look, you got a pen and pencil ready? Write down this number, 877-378-8669. Better yet, don't just write down that number. Call that number. Call that number today and make your pledge for Free Speech TV. You know, we're getting right down to the wire here on this season's very, very special holiday season pledge drive for Free Speech TV. It is so important that you help us out, and got to do it now, because we've heard from our friends at Free Speech TV that the returns are not what they should be. Some of you guys have been holding back. I know you want to help, but you just have put it off. Well, now is the time. Put it off no longer. Make that call today and help out Free Speech TV. Look, we know you love Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You wouldn't be calling. This is the kind of unvarnished, independent, freewheeling news and commentary you get nowhere else. Nowhere else. You want non-corporate TV? This is where you find it at Free Speech TV. But Free Speech TV, all of us here, Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Dave Packman, The Ring of Fire, me, Bill Press, we couldn't be here without your help, because there's no government funding, there's no corporation funding. It is all your help that keeps us going. And to help you decide to help us, remember, we got some great gifts for you. If you can give us just $10 a month, $120 a year, 2 copies of 2 great books, my latest, The Obama Hate Machine, and Joe Cirincione's book, Nuclear Nightmares, just hot off the press. For $20 a month, $240 a year, copies of the 3 favorite books that I read this year, including Michael Dibson's great thriller in Sicily called Blood Rain. For $30 a month, copies of 3 CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted in a special program here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who are able to do so and pledge $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you can proudly wear one of these great hand-woven rayon chenille scarves like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. But the most important thing is, this is the time of the year, the only time of the year where you can get a tax, not the only time, but the last time for 2013, you can get a tax deduction for giving to Free Speech TV and making that pledge and keeping us on the air with the kind of hard-hitting news and commentary that you've come to depend on. So please, again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669. Please do it today. Keep us going. We want to be there for you every day on Free Speech TV. Thank you.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. Hey, it's 11 minutes before the top of the hour here. In the next hour, Congresswoman Donna Edwards from Maryland will be here in studio with us. And also, how about this? Chef Enzo Fargione, very, very popular and well-known Italian chef nationwide, and works here in Washington, D.C., is going to be here.
I'm getting hungry, too.
I am, too. It is absolutely perfect. It's a little chilly in the studio today, I have to tell you. That's why I'm wearing, one of the reasons why I'm wearing this beautiful scarf. If you are watching on Free Speech TV or on our video stream at TawkrTV, and you're envious of a scarf like this, or if you're listening to the radio and you've heard me talk about these scarves, remember how to get your own. Just go to our website, BillPressShow.com. Click on the link to Carol Press Scarves, and you'll see lots of different colors and designs and patterns, and get a scarf like this for you or someone you love for the holidays. They are great. This is rayon chenille. Carol also makes them in bamboo. Again, find out about them, BillPressShow.com. Click on the link to Carol Press Scarves. By the way, to clarify one thing, I checked on Rand Paul. It says, what was Rand Paul during his August recess? Leo Gerard suggested that Rand Paul ought to go back to fixing teeth. Well, during the August recess, Senator Rand Paul was performing pro bono eye surgery.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that means he's an eye surgeon. I hope it
Either
means.
that or he's a really terrible dentist.
Exactly, yeah. I don't think you want your dentist performing eye surgery. So I think that clarifies that.
Yeah.
Yes. A big battle here yesterday. Of course, Don Edwards will tell us more about it on the budget. But the big deal was that the Republicans really stabbed American middle class in the back once again by refusing to extend unemployment benefits. They expire December 28th. Keith Ellison, our good friend from Minnesota, says, what the hell are we doing?
I can't possibly imagine leaving this place, leaving all those Americans, over 1 million people, without any means of sustenance other than maybe their local food shelf.
Yeah, but Tea Partiers like Paul Brown from Georgia says, no, we came here to shut the government down.
This bill does all the bad things that I've been fighting against.
Yeah, that's why he said he couldn't support the bill. The bill did pass 332 to 94. Democrats held their nose and voted for it nonetheless. And Paul Ryan, Chairman Ryan, who architect of this budget plan, he told these Tea Partiers, well, if you don't like it, here's what you got to do.
Republicans don't run everything. We're the minority party right now. So you have to find a way to work with the other side of the aisle to make this government work.
By the way, yeah, you heard him correctly. He said they're the minority party right now. They're not the minority party. They are not the minority party. They have been in control of the House since 2010. They have the votes. Now, maybe they were in the minority on this deal because so many Tea Partiers, 68 of them or so, wouldn't vote for Paul Ryan, but they are not in the minority party. They get the blame, and they're the ones who said, we'll fix we'll do the doc fix for the Medicare doctors, but we won't do anything for unemployment benefits. The majority party, the Republican Party in the House, made that decision. And John Boehner wasn't happy that some conservative groups on the Republican side opposed this budget deal.
But if you'll recall, the day before the government reopened, one of the people at one of these groups stood up and said, well, we never really thought it would work. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
They expect us to take these stands like this even though it's not going to work? Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
There it is, John Boehner. So they passed that kind of crappy budget, and House will be out of business today. Don Edwards will tell us all about in the next hour. And I will tell you, when we come back, what President Obama is up to today down at the White House.
Are you kidding me?
This is the Bill Press Show.
My fellow Americans, I am not a crook. No, that's not what I meant to say. Hey, hello, everybody. What do you say? Bill Press here. Now, look, you got a pen and pencil ready? Write down this number, 877-378-8669. Better yet, don't just write down that number. Call that number. Call that number today and make your pledge for Free Speech TV. You know, we're getting right down to the wire here on this season's very, very special holiday season pledge drive for Free Speech TV. It is so important that you help us out, and got to do it now, because we've heard from our friends at Free Speech TV that the returns are not what they should be. Some of you guys have been holding back. I know you want to help, but you just have put it off. Well, now is the time. Put it off no longer. Make that call today and help out Free Speech TV. Look, we know you love Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You wouldn't be calling. This is the kind of unvarnished, independent, freewheeling news and commentary you get nowhere else. Nowhere else. You want non-corporate TV? This is where you find it at Free Speech TV. But Free Speech TV, all of us here, Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, Dave Packman, The Ring of Fire, me, Bill Press, we couldn't be here without your help, because there's no government funding, there's no corporation funding. It is all your help that keeps us going. And to help you decide to help us, remember, we got some great gifts for you. If you can give us just $10 a month, $120 a year, 2 copies of 2 great books, my latest, The Obama Hate Machine, and Joe Cirincione's book, Nuclear Nightmares, just hot off the press. For $20 a month, $240 a year, copies of the 3 favorite books that I read this year, including Michael Dibson's great thriller in Sicily called Blood Rain. For $30 a month, copies of 3 CDs of 3 exclusive interviews that I conducted in a special program here at the Hill Center in Washington, D.C. And for those of you who are able to do so and pledge $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you can proudly wear one of these great hand-woven rayon chenille scarves like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. But the most important thing is this is the time of the year, the only time of the year where you can get a tax, not the only time, but the last time for 2013, you can get a tax deduction for giving to Free Speech TV and making that pledge and keeping us on the air with the kind of hard-hitting news and commentary that you've come to depend on. So please, again, that telephone number, 877-378-8669. Please do it today. Keep us going. We want to be there for you every day on Free Speech TV. Thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, kind of a light schedule down at the White House this holiday week, mainly because of all the big parties that they have in the evening, which keeps the president and the first lady busy entertaining as they were last night. It was a very, very fun, very fabulous White House Christmas party last night for members of the media, and I was happy to be there. So the president this morning doesn't even mention that he gets a daily briefing on our official schedule, but he does get that daily national security briefing every morning. Then at 2:15 this afternoon, the president and the vice president will be meeting with newly elected mayors from all over the United States here in Washington. They'll be actually meeting with him in the Roosevelt Room, with the 2 of them in the Roosevelt Room of the White House. Jay Carney will have his regular press briefing at 1 o'clock today. And, of course, the official Bill Press Show Christmas lunch is today as well.
That's right.
For some reason, it doesn't show up on the president's
That's
schedule
weird.
today.
We'll have to let them know about that.
Yeah, we'll have to let them know about that. He might want to come by.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hello, I'm Paul Stanford from the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation.
broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
The House approves of the compromise budget deal, and they go home without, of course, doing anything about extending unemployment benefits because Republicans in the majority just don't care. Hey, good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas, right? Friday, December 13, and no unlucky day here. Every day's a lucky day around the Bill Press Show, and we are happy to see you today. Thank you so much for being with us here on your local progressive talk radio station all across this great land of ours, coast to coast, and on TawkrTV, our video stream. For those of you who prefer to watch the show, actually on your computer, your desktop, your laptop, your iPad, your iPhone, or whatever, go for it at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. And we are pleased to welcome this Friday morning in studio with us, good hardworking member of the Congress on the right side of all the issues, representing nearby state of Maryland, Congresswoman Donna Edwards. Congresswoman, great to see you as always.
It's great to see you too.
So you finished your work for the year, right?
Well, you know, that's what my mother said. She thinks we're all on vacation. I'm going to work today, and probably a lot of my colleagues are too. But we did finish the legislative work for the year. And
John Boehner's goal was to get out on Friday, and he beat it by a day.
He surely did. You know, we had to vote on that budget yesterday, and a lot of us held our noses and voted for it because we knew that what it really meant was getting rid of the awful sequester cuts that are killing, you know, so many folks, and also to put a little stability into this government functioning. Right? I mean, we really need the stability. And I've been hearing from people in my district, real progressives like I am, who are just saying, enough of this already.
Yeah, good. We'll hear more about that from you. One hello to our team here this morning, Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy. Good morning, good morning. With Alicia Cruz, she's standing by to take your phone calls. Don't forget, you can join the conversation at any time. Questions for the good Congresswoman here at 866-55-PRESS. Cyprian Bolding has us, he's in charge of the video cams, put it that way, okay? And if he's not happy, he turns out the lights and turns off the cameras, and then we're done. See, so we always have to be nice to Cyprian.
That's how that works.
As he's good to us. That's how that works. And we want to congratulate you because you got a new colleague yesterday. Somebody's going to be right there fighting alongside of you, I'm sure, on many issues. She is the newest member of Congress, Congresswoman Catherine Clark from Massachusetts, filling the vacancy left by Ed Markey's election to the U.S. Senate. And Speaker John Boehner did the honor swearing her in yesterday.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you're about to enter, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations. You're now a member of the 113th Congress.
I love that.
Yeah. She's a good person, it seems. She's had a good campaign, and I've heard great things about her.
Yeah, she's incredibly smart and talented. And already
Did you get to know her already?
I did, and I had gotten to know her a little bit beforehand when she visited. And already she's right in there going, what do I need to do about this defense authorization? And hey, what about that budget?
Oh.
And so she's all in.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. It must be fun to welcome a new member like that, huh?
It is. And when you hear that oath,
I
get goosebumps again. And so it's great. Well, I'm long past junior, given the number of members who come in, which seems extraordinary to me. But it does tell you that there is some, change that happens in the Congress. And, I'm a Democrat. We need to make it happen more.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's get back to the budget because Congressman Chris Van Hollen was sitting right there where you are yesterday. The ranking Democrat on this budget committee, and he was really, really upset about the fact that Republicans reneged on their deal to do the Medicare doc fix, so-called doc fix, and unemployment benefits, deal with them separately together. And instead, Republicans said, no, we're going to fix the docs, but we're not going to do anything about unemployment. He left here yesterday to go and get you and others to help him fight that. What happened on that yesterday?
Well, this was really difficult for us, and I think Chris Van Hollen was right. It was a bait and switch at the last minute, and it was wrong. But at the same time, we had this budget there. The Republicans controlled the gavel in the House. They pushed these things together, and they didn't really leave us any choices if we wanted to have the budget done. And some of us are going to continue the mantra and the public mantra on unemployment benefits extension, because insurance extension, because in this country, 1.3 million people are going to lose their unemployment benefits on December 28th, and then another 1.9 million by the end of March. And so this is really serious. Those are long-term unemployed people who are looking for work, but the economy, although it's recovering, hasn't really quite recovered yet. And so on the one hand, Republicans don't want to do anything to create jobs, and on the other hand, they want to take away unemployment benefits. I think it was actually all the more reason that we needed to vote for the budget yesterday so that we can end some of the sequester cuts on the non-defense discretionary side, because a lot of our long-term unemployed are going to need some of those benefits too, whether you're talking about heating and energy assistance through the winter, or nutrition programs and those sort of things.
Right. So it's the 1.3 million December 28. Now, what do you say to the Republicans? Say, well, look, the unemployment rate keeps going down. I mean, it's down to 7% now, and we had 265,000 jobs in November. So
not that they are doing anything to help that number come down. I mean, they've done everything to constrain it.
They have, and they also say, but this proves we don't need unemployment insurance now because more people are working.
Yes, well, the people who aren't working need an unemployment check. I mean, I received unemployment at one point in my life. People want to work, but struggle. And so they need that unemployment check. And, the Republicans like to portray it as though people are unemployment are, freeloading, or they're not looking for work and all of that. And that is completely wrong. But there's still some long-term unemployed. And so I challenge the Republicans, now that they've cleared the deck on the fiscal issues, come back and do a transportation and infrastructure bill so that we can lower that unemployment rate even more. Come back and do the kinds of things that are actually going to create jobs in the economy. I challenge them to do that. They got the open space to do it. I suspect what they will be doing instead is continuing on this rant to repeal Obamacare.
Now, of course, because that's their whole mission and focus, and will continue to be probably until President Obama leaves office, and maybe beyond. Is there any chance? So it's definitely, even though Jay Carney yesterday at our briefing was saying we still think we can get this done before the end of the year. Now it's not going to happen before the end of the year. Is there any chance to do it early in 2014?
Well, and there's been a history of doing it early and doing it retroactively. And so we've done that before. We can do that now. And I think that the public, don't let members of Congress go home and not yell and scream at them about unemployment benefits extension. Because if you think about it, 1.3 million people all across this country, there's some in their district. I know there are 22,900 in the state of Maryland, so there are some in my district too.
Yeah. Well, so isn't this, Congresswoman, it reminds me of the student loan debate that we had, where everybody said, no, Congress cannot go home. I think this was for the summer, without doing something about making sure, or maybe it was last January, I forget when it was, but it was a big break. They can't leave town. They're certainly not going to leave town and leave these students high and dry. But they did. And then they came back and did it retroactively.
That's right. And so we have a history. I mean, look at what happened even with the Violence Against Women Act. Violence Against Women Act, they weren't going to do it. They were, trying to sabotage it. They went home to their districts. They heard an earful from people in their districts. They came back. They felt the pressure of the public, and they did it. And so they need to feel the pressure. This cannot be an inside deal. This is an outside deal. Put the pressure on members of Congress when they're home during their break. Don't let them just have an easy, holiday break. And then they'll come back and do it. We'll do it retroactively so that we can take care of those long-term unemployed. Now, clearly, if you're unemployed, retroactive is not cool, but it's the best we might be able to do.
Right. Now, you mentioned that this is, and everybody agrees, this is certainly not a perfect budget. But there are some good aspects to the budget, right, which, of course, was part of the reasons why you voted for it. What are they?
Well, I think number one, the plus up on Head Start an improvement. But also, if you take a look at where the Ryan budget was on federal workers, the Ryan budget was going to take $140 billion out of the hide of federal workers and their pensions. And what we managed to get out of this deal is prospectively a 1.3% increased contribution for new federal workers, nothing from federal workers who are in now or who've ever had 5 years of service. And so to go from $140 billion to basically $6 billion prospectively for new federal workers is really, really huge, and to save us furloughs.
Right, and then the sequester.
And of course, getting rid of the sequester, because without that, and on the non-defense discretionary side, we actually gained substantially over defense.
This actually increases spending in the short term.
That's right, and we recovered almost 65% of the non-defense discretionary sequester cuts. And so, we're not made whole in this. The American public is not, but we're way better off than we were, and we don't face the prospect of this kind of up and down of uncertainty. And, the business community has complained about the uncertainty of the federal budget and the fiscal problems. Well, you know what? We've cleared the decks. And so what's the excuse now for them keeping the capital out of the market, out of the marketplace, creating jobs? They don't have an excuse anymore. I want the Chamber of Commerce to step up.
And this means also, and you indicated this earlier, but I think it's important to stress, that this is like a 2-year plan, right? So there's not going to be month-to-month crisis over shutting the government down.
Well, that's right, and
at least for
this 2-year window. And think about this: cost of living increases for federal workers, for example. Those are preserved in here. And keep in mind what has happened: federal workers have had to give up cost of living increases. They've had to give up pay. They've had to give up pension. All of that stuff is settled now. So it's not perfect, but it's a lot better place than we would have been without it, and that's why I voted for it. I've voted for a lot of things in this Congress where I've had to hold my nose and do it. This one was no different, but at least it gives us a little bit of a restart here.
What was funny, a couple of, I think you were there, maybe a month or 6 weeks ago, I attended an event at the AFL-CIO where this Leader Pelosi was there, and Patrick Murphy, former member of Congress from Pennsylvania, spoke, and he said I think there were a lot of candidates for Congress, Democratic candidates for Congress in 2014 who were there for a training session, right? And he said, my advice to you is you're going to have to do a lot of, you're really going to have to make those phone calls and raise money and these long hours of campaigning. And my advice to you is what I learned about is embrace the suck.
And yesterday Leader Pelosi in our caucus meeting, she said, "Embrace the suck." That was our theme for the day, and we did it, and we passed this thing.
When I saw yesterday her quoted as saying, "Embrace the suck," I laughed out loud because I remembered when she first heard it, because she and I talked that night and said what a great phrase that was. Embrace the suck. And
well, so it's an old Army phrase.
Oh, is that it?
Embrace the suck. It's on T-shirts and everything.
Oh, but it's a great. It says a lot, right?
It does.
When I saw that, I laughed. I just said, "Oh, she remembered that and she used it again." And and that's I get that, and that's what it was. Well, I think that's probably a phrase you have to employ a lot, right?
Constantly when the other guys have the gavel.
Yeah. Did you hear that Paul Ryan yesterday said we're the minority party? Yeah.
I did hear that, and I was a little confused because
does he know? Right? Doesn't he know that he's the here he is talking explaining to the Tea Party that if you don't like this, then you have to go out and elect more people, right, or something like that, because he says we can't do it all because
Republicans don't run everything. We're the minority party right now, so you have to find a way to work with the other side of the aisle to make this government work.
We're the minority party. He's the chairman of the committee because John Boehner's the speaker.
Yeah, it was a very awkward kind of moment because a lot of us were saying, well, now, what is he talking about? The fact that they don't really have control over their caucus, making, the people who want to get things done, the minority in their party is kind of one thing, but they hold the gavel. They set the rules.
Yes.
And if they're going to allow themselves to be controlled by this little, sort of rump group of renegades who want to blow things up, then that will happen. The fact is, yesterday, they needed 163 Democratic votes.
To get this passed, right?
we contributed 163. They contributed, I think, 169. This bill would not have passed again without Democrats.
Yeah, they may be the dysfunctional majority party, but they're still, in the House, the majority party, for sure. Congresswoman Donna Edwards here on this Friday edition of the Bill Press Show. Don't forget, invite you to join the conversation at 866-55-PRESS. Embrace the suck. Love that phrase.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV, this is the Bill Press Show.
In the next segment, I got to tell you, I don't know, I'm a little hungry here, Congresswoman. Chef Enzo Fargione. He's been the chef here at Teatro Goldoni, a restaurant in Washington, D.C., and a great restaurant used to be on the hill called Barolo. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be here in studio with us to talk all about his new book, Visual Eats, and maybe even to bring us a few samples. That's the rumor. Don't know about that. So you're welcome to hang around here.
I might stay.
So, Congresswoman, so they didn't, Congress unable to, thanks to blame the Republicans in charge, do anything about extending unemployment benefits. Any possibility of anything on immigration?
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, we're going to look to that next year. You know, we were grateful. A lot of us Democrats stood on the steps of the House yesterday, very powerful, with, you know, these folks led by Elisir Medina, who lives in my district, who fasted for more than 20 days.
I know. Incredible.
Unbelievable, because of their commitment to families, you know, fasting for families so that we can get a comprehensive immigration reform, you know, package that's already been passed by the Senate, needs to be passed by the House, that unifies families and is actually a contributor to growing economic growth. And so we need to do this. Plus, it's morally the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so it was very compelling. You know, we have 193 co-sponsors, some Republicans, but virtually almost every Democrat, on a bill that mirrors what happened in the Senate. If they just put the bill on the floor, it would pass. It would pass. And after all, it only needs like another 20-some, you know, Republicans and Democrats who would pass it. But we've got that, and we've shown the support. We've signed our name to it. It's time to get it done.
And all John Boehner would have to do would be to call a vote. Let the entire House vote on it, and comprehensive immigration reform would have happened.
Well, now they've done the budget. Let's do immigration. Let's raise the minimum wage. Let's create jobs and transportation infrastructure. We can get these things done.
Amen, amen, amen. And meanwhile, let's have a Merry Christmas, and I hope you do, you and your family. And thanks so much for coming in today. Always great to see you.
Thank you, and you too.
Back with the chef. All right.
This is the Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go at 33 minutes after the hour now. It is a Friday morning, December 13, and in the middle of the holiday season, what do you think about food? Right. Think about good eating, and everybody's thinking about the specialties, maybe the favorite things they like to prepare every Christmas or something special they could do this Christmas. That's why one of the reasons we are so pleased to welcome to the studio a chef that's very well known here or in the nation's capital and around the country, Chef Enzo Fargione. His new book is called Visual Eats, food that not only tastes good but looks good. Is that right, Chef? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. Wonderful to be here.
I have enjoyed the chef's creations at first of all, favorite Italian restaurants are no longer there. But when we first moved to Washington, called Barolo, which was right here on Capitol Hill, just down the street here. And also at a restaurant called Teatro Goldoni, which sadly no longer exists either, downtown Washington, D.C., and you've been there, and also for a while at the other Italian restaurant in town.
After Teatro Goldoni gig that actually lasted about a couple of years, I decided to complicate my life a little bit more and open another restaurant called Elisir, Osteria Elisir.
That's where you are today, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
And what was the restaurant in Galileo? Yeah, you were started maybe at Galileo.
Yeah, started Galileo many years ago.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
All right, now before we get into these creations that you have and more about the book, I have to tell you. So I just came back from 10 days in Sicily.
Good for you.
Do you have a good recipe for caponata?
It's in there.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
Good. Yeah.
It worked out.
I learned to love it. Just had it
Yes.
yeah.
Well, caponata is very Sicilian. It's the eggplants in Sicily and anything that is a little bit pickled or soured and marinated with that. That it really highlights the fruit of the land. But this in this book is not really a regional. Traditional Italian cookbook. It's more like a personal interpretation of modern Italian cooking. But I didn't want to just write another cookbook. The market is saturated with cookbooks. You read recipes. Some of them are coffee table books. Then you put on the shelf. You never use it. They collect dust.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to create something that is tantalizing for the mind and to really let people understand what this industry, this crazy industry, it's all about, the restaurant business.
So you take sort of Italian cuisine and take it to a whole new level.
I take it to a personal level, meaning that we don't have Italian cuisine. We have Italian regional cuisine. So each region has its own characteristics, its fruit of the land and traditions, which are always respected. So if you, for instance, what I do is I base myself into a traditional recipe, and then I kind of destroy it and I put it together my own way, the way I see it fit for the market that the market needs. It's almost like a director in Hollywood gets a very old script, maybe 40, 50-year-old script, an old movie, and you do a remake and you make it yours. So that is the fun part of it for the recipe aspect of the book. The other 40%, 50% of the book, I took the time to actually write, not with a ghostwriter, which is nothing wrong with that, but by myself, because I really wanted to send a very clear and personal message out there to what this industry is all about, which the industry, the restaurant industry, really is about destroying your health, work all day on your feet. It's a marriage destroying industry. It really is a hard industry. So that's why there is the urban legend and the saying that if you don't love it, then get out of it, because eventually you're going to drop out and you're not going to love anymore. So what really keeps us doing this for many years and on and on and on every single day, it's only one thing, is the passion that lies within you for this industry, for cooking, for serving, for the industry per se.
It is every great chef that you hear talk about the industry always says something like otherwise healthy chefs having to have total knee replacement surgeries, and they're on their 4th or 5th or 6th marriage because the hours are just brutal.
Well, the first time I really picked that up was, and I'm blanking on the name of Anthony Bourdain's book about the restaurant industry and the chef. And
Kitchen Confidential.
It's Kitchen Confidential, thank you, yeah. And I just thought, oh my God, why do people do this?
Well, it's very fun. It's very, interesting that you mentioned that, because last year I sat down with him. We were doing a gig together. And we were talking about, we were backstage in a room, and I had the opportunity to talk to him a little bit, a few minutes. And I say, I'm writing this book. I really want to say it all. And he say, you know what? That's the same feeling I had when I first wrote my first book. Yeah. And see where it got me. Just don't hold back. Just say whatever it is, whatever you feel, because eventually people will appreciate, and I hope people will appreciate.
Yeah, the book again is Visual Eats. I've got the soft cover here, the paperback, and the hardcover just came out, so just in time for the holiday season too. Chef, tell us what your little creations you wanted to talk to us about this morning, and
I decided to bring few little things here, just because morning, there's not much. Didn't want to bring a beef tenderloin for morning breakfast, even though steak and eggs is a traditional American cuisine. However, I brought a couple appetite openers. Now, what are appetite openers? Are a way to tantalize the palate and open your appetite before your lunch or dinner. So this is what we do at the restaurant. We offer appetite openers. For instance, you see some lollipops there. You may say, what the hell is this? What it is, I found a way to solidify extra virgin olive oil and crystallized salt mixed together. So, and they are coated with the milk chocolate, and I dust it with focaccia breadcrumbs. And I kind of sparkle a little bit with the gold, edible gold, and I put it away on a lollipop. Now, why would I do that? What is the meaning about that? It's not about playing with your food, which is also great.
Yeah, right.
But it's also about me when I was a little kid. I used to play soccer back in Italy. I used to, after soccer practice, I used to come home and I used to get a piece of bread and put some olive oil and chocolate, a little sprinkle of salt, and eat it. So I want to recreate the feeling, the taste. And it's fun enough because I couldn't just serve a slab of bread on the restaurant. So I decided to create this a little bit more elegant, a little bit more interesting. So when you bite into it, the extra virgin olive oil becomes liquid again. And you taste the extra virgin olive oil and the salt. When it becomes almost unbearable to taste, then that's what the chocolate comes in and levels everything out. And the focaccia breadcrumbs, it's just a little bit to symbolizes the bread that was the base of that. But you would even
you serve these in a restaurant as an appetizer for dinner, not as dessert.
No,
right?
This is just an appetite opener. So we pass those around, for instance, when we have a private function, private parties, or when people do a tasting menu, for instance, and they want to have a couple of things to open their appetites before they order their meal.
Right.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's so the way you talk about it and the way you sell it is so exciting, and the way you explain. Sure, I'll have one. Yeah.
Now, I would think when I see chocolate, I think right away of dessert. And edible gold.
Edible gold makes
so you feed it in one bite, then, yeah?
This one bite. Yeah. This one bite, and you really have to let it crack in your mouth. And at first, the first 2-3 seconds, you think, "What the hell? Nothing's happening." Wait until actually your mouth gets the warmth and everything. Start to taste the olive oil, then the salt kicks in,
olive oil
and then the
salt.
chocolate kicks in.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
It's a completely different way to offer that.
It really does. It's just a progression of flavors
in a one bite. That's fantastic. That is fascinating.
By all means, you can say, "No, I'm hungry. I'm going to sit down and have 10 of those." You can't. I don't suggest you to do that. This is supposed to be one bite, and it's enough flavor that lingers and keeps your mind, your palate kind of busy enough, but not too busy, to move on to the next step.
Yeah. All right, another appetizer.
That's tremendous.
So the next step we have, I often cook things that appear to be something that there is not. For instance, we have sushi, Italian sushi. We have panna cotta sunny side up, and another appetite openers, which we get to it, and an appetite opener, which is a gorgonzola cheese custard with roasted speck and candied celery with polenta cracker.
Whoa.
But it's inside an eggshell. So why would I do that? The reason is, I don't know. Why would I do that? I don't know. But it looks good.
It looks good.
It looks good.
Fun.
Visual.
It's fun.
You not only eat with your mouth.
Right.
You really don't.
Right.
Nowadays, the market is so competitive, the industry is so competitive that you really have to overwork the competition at all time, 100% of the times. So you need to create a visual interest that is also based on the quality of the taste that makes you say and think, wow, this was actually worth it. This is great. And not many people can do it. So
if you remember from your childhood the slab of bread with chocolate and olive oil. I didn't have that experience, so I don't remember it. But the way that you've presented that, I will remember that. That's such a smart way to present it to someone who doesn't have that food memory that you have.
And this is served in a little eggshell tray, right?
Right. We also serve it either in an eggshell tray like that, but mostly in a more elegant version. We serve it in an egg holder, ceramic egg holder.
Oh, I see.
And of course, it was much easier for me to bring it over this way today in studio. Other than in an eggshell that would be kind of floating all over the place in my car.
Now, I assume you don't eat the eggshell too, right?
You don't.
Okay.
But if you are accustomed to gorgonzola cheese, which is very sharp, you see that the sharpness of the cheese is quite there. It's creamy. Now you need something to really mellow out the sharp taste of the cheese. So I decided to candy some celery that goes very well with gorgonzola cheese, and to create some kind of crunchiness and substance in the taste, which is the speck, which is roasted.
Oh, man.
Now, we need some crunchiness to it, so I decided to put some corn crackers, which is polenta crackers. Now, again, this is now you can make a meal out of it, but you have one of these, and you eat it before your meal, and it really does open your appetite.
Do you serve this at Elisir?
Occasionally we do, yes.
Man, that's good.
It's a different way of eating. Keeps your interest active. How many times you've been to functions where they still pass the same and old bruschetta and with tomato and stuff like that? You lose the interest that you pass on. Your conversation is more engaging and interested than what they pass around. So I really wanted to take the time for the past years to create a visual as well as a great taste interesting appetite openers and passing hors d'oeuvres, if you want to call it that way, where people actually stop and say, you know what, I'm not hungry, but it looks interesting. What the hell is that? So your interest really diverge and shifts to a different topic, which is the food that you're passing.
Right. Now we have a problem here, but a problem with a solution as far as I'm concerned. And the problem is there are two dishes here that we haven't tasted yet. So the solution is we'll continue on the other side of the break, if we may.
Absolutely.
Okay. With Chef Enzo Fargione. The book, again, is called Visual Eats. And if we're not talking too much in the segments because I'm busy eating and enjoying. And we'll be back. And all these fantastic ideas in this book, Visual Eats. We'll be right back on the Friday edition of the Bill Press Show. There we go.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show. Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, with 11 minutes now to go before the top of the hour, in studio with us, one of our great chefs here that we have stolen from Italy, Chef Enzo Fargione. His book, his restaurant here in Washington, D.C., when you come to Washington, be sure to check in with Elisir. And the book is Visual Eats. Chef, thanks again for coming in. So where are we on our little appetizers here?
I think we're halfway there with the food.
Yeah.
You were very skilled and I say experienced to really devour the first two course, which is very good. It's always a great compliment for any chef. Let's move on to the Italian sushi.
Yeah.
Now, what is the Italian sushi? You know, am I want to upset some great Japanese chefs? Absolutely not. I decided to create something that, again, is equally good and visual enough to capture the customer's interest on the dish. So I decided to get some Parma prosciutto and lay down on the sushi mat, and I piped in some marinated goat cheese, some crunchy asparagus, and roasted portobello mushroom. And then I just kind of rolled it the same way the Japanese would do for any sushi roll. Then I sprinkle the little bit of sesame seed on the outside just to give the look and the appearance of the sushi roll. I cut in 6 pieces. I put some artichokes or potato chips right on top to elevate the dish a little bit. And I pickled Italian style. I pickled some shaved carrots to symbolizes the ginger. And of course, we needed to have some soy sauce, which is nothing else but a balsamic vinegar reduction. And we serve it, of course, with chopsticks. So the fun part is you eat a very 100% dish, Italian dish, but you eat it with chopsticks and you dip it into the balsamic vinegar.
How cool.
So it's a reverse kind of salad appetizer, but it's a fun way to eat and equally great on the mouth.
You're going to be sued by the Japanese, of course.
Possibly.
They may never let you back.
But I have two.
I'm watching the time, so I just want you to. We'll sample this after we get off the air. Tell us about this dish, and then I want another question about the book.
Sure. Well, this dish is vanilla custard, almost panna cotta. Now, but what it is I wanted to create something again that is not. So I created a vanilla custard sunny side up, which I made a reduction of citrus, orange, and tangerine, and I create.
Hold this. I hope you can see this.
And
on
I create.
here, Cyprian. Yeah, it
there
does
you go.
look like a couple of sunny side up eggs.
Perfect.
With I see they're moving a little bit with the egg yolks on top.
With egg yolks, so it gives impression of sunny side up eggs, and of course I had to create some virtual bacon to go with that, so you can have a breakfast, a complete breakfast.
That's cool.
Now we'll get into that. Now, just final thing in your book, because I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing. Look at it, but. You went out and talked to food critics, right? You turned the tables on the food critics.
I really did.
How did that go?
Well, great, because I always had a great relationship with food critics and journalists over the past years. But this time, I really wanted to send as authentic message as possible. So I interviewed them, each one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the great Phyllis Richmond, Tom Sitzman, Tom Kleiman, Tim Carmen, and so on. And it's amazing how a 20 minutes interview for all of them kind of stretch up to 3-4 hours interview. So they had a lot to say, and I wrote everything in the book about how they rate restaurants and how they really think about good and bad of a restaurant, how they really what's the state of mind at the moment when they write. Everything is in there, and it's great in a way because I was able to actually turn the table, interview them for once, and criticize that.
And give them a chance to talk. Yeah,
absolutely.
Which is really great. Oh, so that's another value of the book, Visual Eats, not to mention all the other good information there. There we go. Hey, Chef, congratulations on a great career and a great book, and thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here.
Chef Enzo Fargione, I'll be back with a quick parting shot.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
earlier this morning, and that is the FCC's decision to consider now the use of cell phones on airplanes. I try to keep an open mind on most issues and take a look at both sides of most issues. On this issue, there are not two sides. There's only one side. This is a bad, bad idea. Haven't we learned already in restaurants, on buses, on trains, on subways, how obnoxious cell phone users can be? We certainly don't need them on commercial airplanes. We have to raise hell to make sure the FCC does not allow this, and if they do, then we have to raise hell with the airlines to say you may be allowed to, but don't do it on your airline. No cell phones on airplanes, please. With that, folks, happy birthday again, Peter Ogburn. Go out and have a great weekend. Come back and see us right here again Monday morning.
The Bill
Have a
Press
good
Show.
one.